I had been in the school cafeteria less than 10 seconds when a group of cool kids started on me. It was always the same. I tried to avoid them at all costs, but sometimes there was just no getting away from them.
Oh my God, what have you got on your feet?
They look like you found them on a garbage site. He smells like he's been on one too.
Hey, cut it out. Leave him alone.
I was so relieved to hear Mark's voice. He was my best friend and he always defended me. The cool kids disappeared in a flash and I turned to thank Mark. He put his arms around me and gave me a hug. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Then you'll be able to deal with the bullies in your life too. Thanks, bro.
No worries, I love you, man.
I love you too. Mark and I had been best friends for years. When I was a new kid at school, he was the only one who was nice to me. When I first arrived, I was pretty lonely. All the other kids already knew each other and weren't keen on having a new kid hang around with them. But Mark was different. The first time I met him was in the playground. I was standing watching a group of boys playing soccer and Mark was one of them. As he ran past me, he stopped and shouted over to me.
Hey, new kid, wanna join us?
My heart leapt with joy. Finally, I had met someone who was friendly. Sure. I joined their game and afterwards we sat chatting together.
I'm Mark.
Billy. From that day on, Mark and I were inseparable. I actually felt like he was my guardian angel. We hung out all the time, either at his house or mine. We loved playing computer games together and watching movies. Our favorite movie was about this boy who fell in a vat of nuclear waste. When he emerged from it, he found that he had superpowers. He could levitate and move objects with his mind. What I'd do to get a superpower like that? Some of the kids at school teased us because we were always together. They would yell out to us saying that we were boyfriends. Mark didn't care what they said, he would just yell back at them.
So what if we are? You got a problem with that?
They usually shut up when he said that. I mean, what else could they say? I never doubted that Mark and I would be best friends for life. It was one of those kinds of relationships. When you know, don't you? He meant so much to me. That's why what happened next upset me so much. Mark and I were walking home from school when suddenly a car skidded off the road and started heading straight for the two of us. In an instant, Mark pushed me out of the car's way. I landed in some bushes at the side of the road. Unfortunately, Mark wasn't so lucky. In saving me, he had pushed himself directly in front of the car. It knocked him clean off his feet and sent him flying up into the air. When he crashed back down to the ground, I could see he had been injured quite badly. Mark, are you okay? Please, talk to me. Mark just groaned. He didn't even open his eyes. Some passerby came to help and someone called for an ambulance. On the way to the hospital, I just sat holding his hand, praying that he wouldn't die. It's at times like that you realize how much someone means to you, isn't it? When the doctors examined Mark, they told him that he would need to have surgery. I knew that Mark didn't have the money to pay for it himself, so I decided that I would find a way to pay for the surgery. I felt awful that he had been hurt while saving my life, so I told the doctors to do the surgery and that I would pay for it. I didn't have any money either, but I had seen a job being advertised at a dangerous nuclear waste factory. They'd been looking for someone for months, because even though the pay was high, it was a really dangerous job, so no one wanted to work there. I applied for the job and they gave it to me right there and then. You're probably thinking I must be crazy, right? But what choice did I have? I had to get the money somehow. Anyway, it didn't take me long to get the money together, and thankfully Mark had the surgery and came out of it feeling fine. I went to visit him in the hospital the day after his operation.
Bro, I can't thank you enough for what you have done. You're a real mate.
It's me that should be thanking you. You saved my life. I gave Mark a hug. I was so happy that he was well and everything was going to be fine. It was about a week later and Mark came to visit me at the factory while I was working.
Billy, you shouldn't be working here anymore. It's too dangerous. Why don't you quit?
I can't, not yet anyway.
Why not?
I'm still paying off the debt at the hospital. Mark looked sad when I told him.
But Billy...
Suddenly we heard a loud rumbling and the whole room began to tremble and shake. Earthquake! I tried to dive under the table, but I wasn't quick enough. A vial fell off a shelf and the liquid that was inside it washed over my head. Blackness started closing in on me and I passed out. When I woke up, Mark was leaning over me, a look of concern on his face.
Oh my God, Billy, are you okay?
Yes, I think so. I just feel a bit different.
How so?
Before I could say any more, the room began to shake again.
Oh God, it's another earthquake.
I looked up and saw a huge metal bar falling down towards the two of us. I put my hand to try to stop it, and you'll never believe what happened. It stopped in mid-air. I turned to Mark, a puzzled look on my face. Did you see what I just did?
Yes. How did you do that?
I have absolutely no idea. Mark grabbed me by the hand and pulled me up.
Come on, let's get out of here before there's another earthquake.
Once we were safely outside, we started talking about what had just happened. How could I just stop that metal bar in mid-air? It doesn't make sense.
I don't know. Let's see if you can do it again.
Mark picked up a leaf and threw it up into the air. I reached out my hand towards it, and sure enough, it stopped in mid-air. Oh man, this is freaking me out. Do you think I've got some special power or something?
I reckon you do. What other explanation could there be?
When I got home, I tried it with a book, but it didn't move. No matter how hard I tried, it just lay on the table. Maybe it only works sometimes. The next day, Mark came over to my house. I told him about the book, and he came up with an idea.
Let's test your powers on a few different objects. See if you can move them.
Okay. Mark gave me various different objects, a pair of scissors, a can of Coke, one of my mom's hairpins. Each time when I raised my hand towards them, they started levitating in mid-air.
That is so cool. You really do have some kind of power.
I guess I do. Come on, let's go show my parents. You probably can guess what my parents said, can't you?
Come on, Billy. You don't have any superpowers. Stop joking around.
I do it. If you don't believe me, I'll show you. Mark picked up a spoon and put it on the table in front of me. I raised my hand and it immediately jumped up into the air and started hovering there.
Ah!
My mom started screaming and freaking out.
Oh my god! You have superpowers! We have to tell the media about this. The whole world needs to know about you.
My parents contacted our local news station and they sent someone out to interview me. When I showed them what I could do, they were so shocked.
This is incredible. Everyone is going to want to see you do this. You're going to be famous.
I felt so happy. Mark, did you hear what he said?
Yes, Billy, I heard him, but I think you should save your powers for performances only. You never know. They might be like a battery. If you use them too much, they might wear out.
You're right. I will only perform for audiences.
And don't worry, I will go with you to every performance. You'll always have me by your side.
Mark was true to his word. I started performing to people all around the world, and he was always there helping me, passing me objects to try to levitate, and basically just being there for me. I soon became world famous. Everyone wanted to see me perform, but no one was as surprised as when I got invited to perform for the Queen. I showed Mark the letter I had received. This is out of this world crazy. Who'd have thought little old me would get an invitation from the Queen of England?
Wow, that's really something else. Are you gonna do it?
Can birds fly? Of course I'm going to do it. Who would turn down an invitation from the Queen? The arrangements were made, and the day before the performance, I went to the airport. As I sat waiting in the departure lounge, I started getting nervous. Where is Mark? If he doesn't hurry up, he's gonna miss the flight. I watched as the minutes ticked by. Come on, Mark, where are you?
This is the last call for flight BA327 to London Heathrow. Would all remaining passengers please board the flight?
It was no good. I couldn't miss the flight too. I'll just have to go by myself. I landed in London and switched on my phone. Immediately, it started bleeping madly. There were tons of messages, all from Mark and all saying the same thing.
Call me as soon as you get this.
I pressed the numbers and waited for Mark to answer. What happened, dude? Why'd you miss the flight?
I'm sorry, I couldn't make it.
That's a shame. Won't be the same without you.
Stop, Billy, wait, don't do the performance, okay?
What are you talking about? Why wouldn't I do it?
Please don't, I'm begging you.
But why? What Mark said next shocked me to the core.
Billy, you don't have any special powers. It was all a setup. It was me moving the objects.
No, it wasn't, Mark. I'm the one who has the superpower, not you.
I'm not saying I have any powers. I move those objects with a magnet.
I didn't believe a word Mark was saying. No, I have superpowers.
Billy, listen to me. I'm telling you the truth.
I don't know why you're saying this, Mark. I thought you were my friend.
That's exactly why I'm telling you. You have to trust me, bro.
I hung up the phone without saying another word. I had no idea why Mark would say something like that. Maybe he's jealous of all my fame. Anyway, I had a performance for the Queen. I wasn't going to think about Mark anymore. I stood at the side of the stage and peeked out at the crowd. It was the biggest audience I had ever performed in front of, and I'll be honest, I was pretty nervous. I listened as they called out my name. As I walked onto the stage, the audience gave a huge round of applause. It was thrilling. I put down the first object on the table. It was an apple. Slowly, I raised my hand, but nothing happened. That's weird. Maybe I'm just a bit tired. I'll try again. But I tried over and over, and nothing would make that apple budge. Panic was starting to build inside of me as I began to hear jeers from the crowd.
You're just a fake! Boo! Boo!
I was so embarrassed. I didn't know what else to do, so I just ran off the stage. I could hear everyone laughing behind me. As I ran off into the side wings, I saw Mark standing there at the stage door.
Billy, please, I'm sorry.
It's all your fault. I've just made a complete fool of myself in front of thousands of people, and the Queen.
I never wanted this to happen. That's why I told you not to do the performance.
But the metal bar, at the factory, there's no way you had magnets ready then.
You didn't notice, but a protruding beam actually stopped the metal bar from falling on us, not you.
But what about the leaf? I stopped it in midair. Mark looked apologetically at me.
That was the wind, a coincidence. I'm telling you the truth, Billy. You gotta believe me.
But I don't understand why you would do this to me. Why would you let me think I had powers?
I know you've always been obsessed with superheroes. After you paid for my surgery, I just wanted you to feel as if you were a real superhero. I wanted to give you something back after what you'd done for me.
At first, I was really angry with Mark for what he had done. But then I began to realize that he had only done it because he wanted to make me happy. It was quite touching, really.
So, where do we go from here?
I guess we agree to never lie to each other again. That would be a start.
I can definitely do that.
But how am I ever going to show my face in public again? Everyone will be laughing at me.
I think I might have a solution.
What?
I'm going to put out a statement on your behalf.
So that's what Mark did. He told everyone that my powers had worn off and that I wouldn't be doing any more performances in the near future. At first, people were angry and skeptical, but eventually they came around to the fact that it had probably been a phenomenon. Mark and I were still best buddies. Nothing would ever change that. But you know what the funniest thing was? When we got back to school the first day, one of the cool kids came over and started teasing me.
Hey, Billy, who cut your hair? A kindergarten kid?
You'd better not say anything like that again, or I'll use my superpowers on you and leave you hanging in midair. The boy flinched and looked scared to death. I looked at Mark and we both burst out laughing.